You've probably found yourself caught up in thoughts about the past or worrying about the future, right? Have you ever asked yourself, why can't I live fully in the present moment? In the famous book, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle not only shares profound insights, but also guides us on a deep journey to free ourselves from suffering, let go of endless worries, and rediscover inner peace. This book will change the way you see yourself, your relationships, and even how you face life. Are you ready to leave behind the burdens of the past and future, to live fully in the present? Let's explore a few key highlights from this book, and I promise you won't want to miss the exciting journey ahead. Part number 1, mindfulness and the present moment. The secret to living fully and escaping suffering. Have you ever found yourself like a machine, constantly caught up in thoughts about the past or worrying about the future, forgetting that you're actually living in this very moment? In reality, most of us get swept up in an endless cycle of worries, which leads to feelings of exhaustion, stress, and an unexplainable sadness. So how can we escape this state? The answer lies in mindfulness, a powerful tool that Eckhart Tolle encourages us to practice in order to live fully in the now. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness isn't a foreign concept, but not everyone understands it clearly or practices it correctly. Simply put, mindfulness is the ability to live fully in the present moment without being distracted by the past or anxious about the future. When you practice mindfulness, you begin to perceive your thoughts, emotions, and sensations clearly, without judgment or worry. You simply acknowledge and accept everything as it is. In The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle explains that repetitive thoughts are the root cause of most suffering. When you're caught up in them, you not only miss out on the present, but you also trap your mind in an endless loop. Mindfulness is the key to breaking this cycle. Practicing mindfulness, simple yet powerful techniques. 1 deep breathing, returning to yourself. One of the simplest and most effective ways to connect with the present moment is through deep breathing. You've likely heard countless times that deep breathing can reduce stress, but few realize it can also help you reconnect with the present moment, directly and powerfully. When you breathe deeply, you feel the life force in each breath, and each breath pulls you out of negative thoughts about the past or anxieties about the future. You don't just breathe, you feel your own presence in every breath. Example: try sitting down, closing your eyes, and taking a few deep breaths. As you inhale, feel the air entering your body, and as you exhale, feel a sense of relief spreading throughout. This is how you return to the present moment. 2. Observing nature. A powerful mindfulness practice. When you walk through a park, or simply gaze at trees or flowers, you'll realize that nature can help you naturally enter a state of mindfulness. Observing what's happening around you without analyzing or judging is a wonderful way to live in the present. You can try a simple exercise. When you're outside, focus on a tree or a flower. Instead of thinking, this tree is beautiful or this flower will soon wilt, you simply look and feel its existence. Example: once I sat in a park, and as I focused on a leaf on a tree, I felt its stillness, no thoughts about the past or future. It was a magical moment, and I realized that true peace could be found in the simplest things around us. Mindfulness, the path to freedom from suffering. One of the things Eckhart Tolle emphasizes in The Power of Now is the importance of letting go of negative thoughts that have no value. When we focus on the present, we are no longer bound by negative emotions like fear, anger, or disappointment. Mindfulness helps us realize that all emotions, whether positive or negative, are just temporary phenomena. They come and go, and we can choose not to let them control our lives. For instance, when facing a stressful situation, instead of getting caught up in feelings of anger or anxiety, you can try stopping for a moment and taking a deep breath, simply acknowledging the emotion without reacting. You'll find that without reacting excessively, the emotion will quickly fade and you'll feel much lighter. The remarkable benefits of mindfulness. Reduces stress. By living fully in the present, you're less likely to be overwhelmed by stress from the past or future. Increases self-awareness. Mindfulness helps you become more aware of your own thoughts and feelings. Finds joy in the simplest things. You begin to appreciate everyday moments, like a gentle breeze, a rain shower, or the sound of birds chirping. Mindfulness is the key to living fully. Mindfulness is not just a meditation technique or a stress relief method. It's a way of living, a journey that brings you back to yourself, helping you find peace and joy in the simplest moments. So, instead of getting swept up in endless thoughts, you can choose to live in the present, where all the wonders of life are waiting for you to discover. Part number 2, overcoming negativity, discovering how to manage emotions and free yourself. You've probably found yourself trapped in a cycle of negative thoughts, right? These thoughts keep repeating in your mind, making you feel stressed, exhausted, and sometimes even hopeless. But did you know that we can choose not to be controlled by these negative thoughts? In The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle not only helps us identify the sources of our unhappiness, but also provides concrete strategies to manage negative emotions, transforming them into powerful forces to change our lives. The burden of resentment and procrastination. Resentment and procrastination are two of the most common causes of unhappiness in our lives. They appear like massive blocks in our minds, preventing us from moving forward and growing. Think back to a time when you felt angered by someone over something unfair, or when you procrastinated on an important task because you feared failure or imperfection. Didn't that feeling take over you? Tolle explains that resentment is a form of resistance to the present moment, where we cling to the past, to old wounds, without letting them go. Procrastination, on the other hand, is a refusal to face the present, always looking for reasons to delay action, and deep down, we are rejecting the act of truly living. Example: I remember a time when a colleague treated me unfairly. Instead of addressing the issue immediately, I let the resentment build up, and for days, I couldn't focus on my work. The anger kept repeating in my mind, creating a negative loop that drained my energy and prolonged my frustration. Letting go and acceptance Tolle points out that the key to breaking free from negativity is letting go and accepting. This doesn't mean you have to forgive someone's wrongdoings or overlook mistakes, but rather you accept that you cannot change the past, and that the past has no power over you in the present. Letting go isn't about weakness, it's about liberation. When you choose to let go, you create space for positive emotions and inner peace to enter your mind. Example: a valuable lesson I learned is that when I let go of my resentment toward my colleague, I not only felt lighter, but also could approach the problem more objectively and find a solution to resolve the conflict more effectively. Letting go freed me from the negative energy and allowed me to focus on the solution instead of rehashing the issue. Action or letting go. What to do when faced with negativity. Eckhart Tolle doesn't just emphasize letting go, but also encourages us to act or let it go. When faced with negative emotions, you have two choices: take action or let it go. If something can be changed, take action. If it cannot, let it go and accept it. Acting gives you the sense that you can control your life, while acceptance helps you stop fighting with things beyond your control. Example: sometimes, in work, I feel overwhelmed and start procrastinating. But instead of spiraling into worry and putting it off even more, I decide to act immediately. Break the task down into manageable steps and start working. As a result, not only do I complete the task, but I also feel more confident and less stressed. Focus on what you can control. One of the important strategies Tolle shares is to focus on what you can control. Life is full of uncontrollable factors, from the actions of others to unexpected events. However, we can always control how we respond to them. Once you realize that you can't control everything, you'll feel lighter because you're no longer trying to change things outside of your power. Example: in a tense meeting with a partner, I can't control their attitude or behavior, but I can control how I present myself, how I respond, and how I steer the conversation toward a constructive outcome. Instead of getting angry or giving up, I choose to remain calm, listen, and find a solution. Strategies for managing negative emotions. Accept and let go. You can't always change everything, but you can always choose to let go of what you cannot change. Focus on the present. When you live in the present, you're no longer caught up in negative thoughts about the past or future. Act or let go. If you can change the situation, take action. If not, learn to let go and accept it. Control what you can control. Instead of worrying about things outside of your control, focus on your actions and decisions within your power. The key to overcoming negativity. We can't avoid negative emotions in life, but we can learn how to manage and overcome them. Accepting the present, acting when necessary, and letting go of what cannot be changed will free you from the suffering caused by negativity. Remember, peace and happiness don't come from controlling everything, but from learning how to accept and live in the present. When you practice this, you'll find that life becomes lighter and more fulfilling. Part number 3. The inner treasure. Uncovering the untapped potential for peace and happiness within. Have you ever felt like you were searching for something, constantly seeking happiness or fulfillment outside yourself, whether through success, relationships, possessions, or validation from others? It's a natural impulse, but what if the very thing you're looking for is already within you, hidden beneath layers of self-doubt, fear, and external distractions? This is the profound message Eckhart Tolle conveys through the metaphor of the beggar and the box in The Power of Now. It's a powerful illustration of how we often overlook the incredible inner potential we all carry, waiting to be unlocked. The metaphor of the beggar and the box Tolle's metaphor is simple yet deeply impactful. Imagine a beggar sitting on the side of the road, cold, hungry, and alone, begging for spare change. He has nothing but the clothes on his back and a tattered hat. Now, what if I told you that this beggar, despite his outward appearance of poverty, was sitting on top of a treasure chest filled with gold, jewels, and riches beyond imagination? The beggar, however, has no idea that the box even exists. He continues to beg for scraps, unaware that everything he could ever need is already within his reach. This metaphor represents us. We are all like that beggar, sitting on top of our own potential for happiness, peace, and fulfillment, but we often fail to see it. We chase after external sources of joy, validation, and success, believing that these things will complete us. But in reality, the true treasure, the peace and happiness we seek, is already buried within us, waiting to be discovered through self-awareness and acceptance. Discovering the inner treasure, a journey of self-reflection. To uncover the treasure inside, we must first look inward. This requires us to take a step back from the chaos of daily life and engage in self-reflection. It's only when we pause and truly connect with our inner world that we begin to notice the quiet underlying peace that has always been there. But this isn't always easy. For many of us, our minds are cluttered with fears, insecurities, and beliefs that we are not enough. These mental patterns can block us from recognizing the treasure within. The key is to become aware of our thoughts without identifying with them, acknowledging them, but not letting them define who we are. Example: I remember a time when I was feeling overwhelmed with work and personal responsibilities. I kept thinking to myself, if only I had more time, more success, more validation, then I could be happy. I was constantly striving to find happiness outside of myself. But when I finally took a few moments of quiet reflection, just sitting in silence, observing my thoughts, I realized something incredible. The peace I was longing for was already there, beneath the surface of all the chaos. It was always available, waiting for me to connect with it. That was my first glimpse of my inner treasure. Self-acceptance, the key to unlocking your inner treasure. The second crucial element in unlocking your inner treasure is self-acceptance. Tolle suggests that to truly access the peace and happiness within, we must first accept ourselves as we are, without judgment or the need to be different. Too often, we are our own harshest critics. We judge ourselves for our imperfections, our mistakes, or for not being good enough in some way. But this constant self-criticism only serves to keep us trapped in a cycle of dissatisfaction. Example, think about a time when you made a mistake, maybe at work, in a relationship, or in a personal goal. How did you treat yourself afterward? Did you beat yourself up over it, replaying the situation over and over in your mind? Or did you practice self-compassion, accepting the mistake as part of being human, and then moving forward with a sense of peace? I've realized that the more I practice self-acceptance, the more I feel connected to my inner peace. When I stop judging myself, when I let go of the need to be perfect, I begin to experience a deeper sense of fulfillment that is not dependent on external outcomes. True happiness comes from within, from the peace of knowing that I am enough just as I am. The hidden power of now, living from the present moment. One of the most transformative insights Tolle offers is that the treasure within us can only be experienced in the present moment. If we are constantly focused on the past or the future, whether ruminating on past mistakes or worrying about what's to come, we miss out on the peace and happiness available to us right now. The more we learn to live fully in the present, the more we begin to connect with our inner treasure. Example: the other day, I was walking in the park, and instead of checking my phone or letting my mind wander to the endless to-do list, I focused solely on the present moment. I noticed the gentle breeze, the rustling of the leaves, and the sounds of birds in the trees. In that simple act of presence, I felt a wave of calm and joy wash over me. It was in that moment of mindfulness that I realized once again, the treasure was always here in the present. Why most of us fail to recognize our inner treasure? So why do we so often miss the treasure that lies within? Part of the reason is that we are conditioned to look outside of ourselves for fulfillment. Society, media, and even our own upbringing teach us that happiness comes from achieving certain goals, accumulating wealth, or gaining approval from others. While these things can provide temporary satisfaction, they are not the source of true peace. Another reason is that we are often afraid to confront our inner world. The journey to self-reflection and self-acceptance requires vulnerability, and it can be uncomfortable to face the parts of ourselves that we have long ignored or repressed. But when we dare to look within, we discover that we have the power to transform our own lives by accepting ourselves fully and reconnecting with the present moment. Embracing the inner treasure, a call to action. The good news is that the inner treasure is not something we have to search for endlessly. It's already within us. The moment we choose to stop seeking outside ourselves and begin to look inward, we begin to access the infinite peace, joy, and fulfillment that are our birthright. The key is to embrace who we are, without judgment or attachment, and live fully in the now. Final thought. In my own experience, the more I've embraced this practice of self-acceptance and mindfulness, the more I've come to realize that true happiness is not a destination, but a way of being. The treasure within is waiting for you too. It's waiting to be uncovered in every moment of presence, in every breath of acceptance. Are you ready to discover it? This journey may not always be easy, but it's the most rewarding one you will ever take. The journey to reconnect with the peace and happiness that have always been yours, lying just beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered. Part number 4, enlightened relationships. True love, rooted in acceptance and self-love. When we think about love, what comes to mind? Most of us envision a perfect relationship, someone who completes us, makes us feel whole, and shares our dreams and goals. We often expect our partner to fulfill our needs, heal our wounds, and mirror the love we crave. But what if the key to a true, fulfilling relationship isn't about changing the other person or seeking external validation? What if it's rooted in acceptance, self-love, and a deep understanding of who we truly are? In The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle introduces a profound shift in how we understand relationships, moving away from the conventional view of love as a means of filling our emptiness to a transformative view where love is about accepting the present moment and each other just as we are. Tolle suggests that true love doesn't come from changing your partner, but from embracing them fully. And it starts with embracing yourself first. The misconception of love as completion. For many of us, we enter relationships with an underlying belief that we need someone to complete us. We've all heard phrases like, "You're my other half," or "I'm nothing without you." While these expressions can feel romantic, they often imply a sense of incompleteness or dependence. This perspective of love is rooted in lack, a belief that we aren't enough on our own and that only someone else can fulfill us. However, Tolle argues that true love arises when we stop seeking completion in another person. Instead, love is born from a space of wholeness, where two individuals come together not to fill a void, but to celebrate their completeness and to experience the beauty of mutual acceptance. Example: I recall a time when I was in a relationship, and at one point, I realized I was looking for my partner to fix me. I was going through a period of self-doubt and insecurity, and I thought that if I found the right person, they would make me feel confident and validated. But over time, I learned that this was a false expectation. It was only when I began to focus on loving myself first, accepting my own flaws, and building my own confidence, that I became capable of offering authentic love to my partner. Self-love, rather than seeking validation from others, became the foundation of a more fulfilling and harmonious relationship. The power of acceptance in relationships. One of the central themes in Tolle's work is acceptance. In relationships, this means accepting your partner as they are, without the need to change them. Too often, we enter relationships with an unconscious agenda. We want our partner to behave in certain ways, think like we do, or meet our expectations. This desire to change the other person can lead to frustration, disappointment, and emotional distance. But when we learn to accept our partner's uniqueness, we create a foundation of love that is not conditional or dependent on meeting a certain set of expectations. Example: I've seen this dynamic in many relationships, including my own. There was a time when I wanted my partner to be more like me, to be more organized, more outgoing, and less introverted. But the more I tried to change them, the more distant we became. It was only when I learned to accept them as they were, embracing their quirks and differences, that our relationship deepened. This acceptance wasn't about settling for less. It was about recognizing the beauty in their individuality and allowing them to express themselves freely. It was through this acceptance that we began to love each other more authentically and without conditions. The importance of self-love as the foundation for healthy relationships. Before we can truly love another person, we must first love ourselves. Tolle emphasizes that self-love is not about narcissism or arrogance, but about embracing and accepting ourselves, flaws and all. It's about realizing that we are worthy of love, not because of what we do, but because of who we are. When we love ourselves, we no longer look to our partner to fulfill our emotional needs or validate our worth. Instead, we enter the relationship as whole, complete individuals, and our love for one another becomes a shared experience, not an attempt to fill each other's gaps. Example: a friend of mine recently went through a tough breakup. At first, she blamed herself, thinking she wasn't good enough or lovable enough. But after some time of self-reflection and healing, she came to realize that her worth was never dependent on another person's validation. She started practicing self-compassion, taking care of her emotional needs, and developing a strong sense of self-respect. This newfound love for herself created a ripple effect in her future relationships, where she was able to give and receive love from a place of wholeness. When we practice self-love, we are able to accept ourselves with all our imperfections and not try to fix ourselves through someone else. This self-acceptance leads to deeper connections with others, where love flows freely and without conditions. True love is in the present moment. In Tolle's view, love exists in the present moment, not in the past or future. Often, in relationships, we either dwell on past grievances or worry about future problems. But the essence of love is found when we are fully present with each other, embracing each moment without judgment or expectation. True love isn't about trying to make the other person into something they're not, but about being fully present and accepting them in the here and now. Example: a few months ago, I had an argument with my partner, and we were both holding on to past grievances. Instead of staying trapped in the past, we decided to focus on the present moment. We sat down, communicated openly, and practiced active listening. We realized that in our need to be right, we had forgotten to truly listen to each other. Once we let go of our need to control or change the situation, we were able to reconnect in a meaningful way, realizing that love thrives when we are present and fully engaged with each other. The role of presence in enlightened relationships. Tolle emphasizes that when we are truly present with our partner, we create the space for genuine connection. This presence allows us to listen deeply, to accept, and to love without expectations or conditions. It's only in this space that love can flourish in its most authentic form. In my own experience, I've realized that when I approach my relationships with the intention of being fully present, love flows more naturally. Presence means being available, emotionally and mentally, to the other person without distraction. It means letting go of our egos, our need to control, fix, or change the other person, and simply being with them as they are. The path to enlightened relationships. Tolle's perspective on relationships is liberating and deeply transformative. Instead of seeing love as something we get from others, he encourages us to see it as something we give. A love rooted in self-acceptance, mutual respect, and being fully present. When we let go of the need to change our partner, when we accept them as they are, and when we approach the relationship from a place of self-love, we open the door to a love that is more fulfilling, more peaceful, and more profound. In the end, true love is not about possession or perfection. It's about presence, acceptance, and wholeness. When we learn to love ourselves first, we can love others more deeply, creating relationships that are grounded in mutual respect and unconditional love. Part number 5. Letting go and acceptance, embracing the present to overcome life's challenges. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where everything seemed to be falling apart? Whether it's a difficult breakup, an unexpected job loss, or a health scare, life can throw challenges our way that feel overwhelming. In moments like these, we often want to fight against the reality of the situation. We resist what's happening, wishing things were different, or trying desperately to regain control. But what if the key to overcoming these challenges isn't in fighting or resisting, but in letting go and accepting the present moment, just as it is? In The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle emphasizes the transformative power of acceptance, not as passive resignation, but as a way to free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. By learning to accept the present moment fully, even in its discomfort, we unlock the ability to move through life's challenges with more clarity, peace, and wisdom. This act of letting go and accepting what is allows us to move forward in ways we might never have imagined. The paradox of acceptance. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. At first glance, acceptance might seem like giving up, like settling for less or resigning ourselves to failure. How can I just accept this situation, we might ask? Isn't it my job to change it? The truth is, acceptance isn't about giving up. It's about stopping the inner struggle. It's about acknowledging that certain things are beyond our control and allowing ourselves to be at peace with that reality. For example, when we face illness, we could spend endless hours fighting against the reality of our condition, filled with anger, bitterness, and denial. But by choosing to accept the reality of our situation, we open ourselves to the possibility of healing. This doesn't mean we give up on recovery, but rather we shift our energy from fighting against the present to finding ways to cope and move forward. Personal example. I remember a period in my life when I was dealing with a particularly challenging work situation. I felt trapped in a cycle of frustration, constantly wishing the circumstances were different, wanting things to change, and feeling resentful about the situation. It wasn't until I finally accepted the reality of where I was, without trying to force a change, that I found peace. It was only then that I was able to think clearly, brainstorm solutions, and take empowered action. Once I stopped resisting, the way forward became clear. Acceptance, in this case, was not about passivity. It was about giving myself the mental space to move toward a solution. The power of acceptance in difficult situations. Acceptance is especially powerful when faced with difficult or painful situations. When we resist the present moment, we compound our suffering. We wish for things to be different, we replay past regrets or imagine future fears. This inner resistance keeps us locked in a state of mental anguish. However, when we learn to accept the situation as it is, without judgment or resistance, we free ourselves from this mental trap and create the space needed for change. Tolle suggests that in any situation, we have three options: accept it, change it, or leave it. Acceptance doesn't mean we don't take action. It simply means we stop fighting the present moment. When we stop resisting, we become better equipped to make decisions based on the reality of the situation, not from a place of fear, anger, or frustration. Example: I recently witnessed a friend go through a challenging breakup. She spent weeks blaming herself, replaying every moment in her mind, and wishing she could change the past. When I encouraged her to simply accept the situation as it was, she resisted at first. But once she let go of her need to change what happened, she began to find the strength to move on. She didn't ignore her emotions, but rather allowed herself to feel them fully without the added burden of self-blame. This shift in mindset helped her heal, and eventually she found new opportunities that wouldn't have been possible if she was still stuck in resistance. Letting go. The key to freedom. Letting go is an essential part of acceptance. We often hold on to past hurts, mistakes, or regrets as if they define us. Letting go means releasing the grip of these negative emotions and beliefs, freeing ourselves from the past so we can live fully in the present. This doesn't mean forgetting or denying what happened, but rather allowing ourselves to move forward without the heavy emotional baggage that keeps us stuck. Tolle speaks about the pain body, the emotional residue from past experiences that we carry within us. This pain body can become activated when we face difficult situations, causing us to react from a place of emotional intensity rather than clarity. Letting go of the pain body means breaking free from the cycle of reactivity, where we are continuously triggered by past wounds. Example: think about a time when you've been in a conflict with someone. Often, our reaction is based on past experiences. Maybe we're responding from a place of unresolved anger or hurt from previous arguments. But when we let go of that emotional baggage, we can approach the situation with a clearer mind, responding to the present moment rather than reacting to the past. Acceptance and the freedom to find solutions. Acceptance is not a passive act. It is a powerful tool for change. When we stop resisting, we open ourselves to new possibilities. We start thinking more clearly, and we are better equipped to find solutions. The clarity that comes with acceptance allows us to approach challenges with creativity and innovation, rather than being trapped by frustration or fear. Example, I once faced a difficult decision at work about whether to take on a new project. Initially, I was paralyzed with fear, worrying about failure and the unknown. But after a few days of accepting the situation for what it was, rather than fighting my anxiety or trying to predict every possible outcome, I was able to approach the decision more rationally. By simply accepting the uncertainty of the situation, I was able to take the necessary steps and ultimately grow both professionally and personally. How to practice letting go and acceptance. So how do we practice letting go and acceptance in our everyday lives? It starts with awareness. The first step is noticing when we are resisting the present moment, whether it's through judgment, frustration, or fear. From there, we can practice being fully present with what is happening, allowing ourselves to feel our emotions without attaching to them. We can also use techniques like deep breathing, mindfulness, or meditation to help create space between our emotions and our reactions. Another powerful practice is to ask ourselves, what am I resisting right now, and how can I shift my perspective? Often, simply reframing a situation can make all the difference. Instead of seeing a challenge as a threat, we can choose to see it as an opportunity for growth or learning. The freedom in acceptance. Acceptance is not about passivity, it is about freedom. When we let go of our need to control, fix, or change the present moment, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. In doing so, we create the space for solutions, growth, and peace to emerge. True power lies in the ability to accept life as it comes, even in its most challenging moments. And when we do, we discover that we are more capable than we ever imagined of navigating life's difficulties with grace, strength, and wisdom. By learning to accept and let go, we don't just survive life's challenges, we thrive through them. The power of acceptance. Unlocking the key to inner peace and growth. In a world that constantly demands more from us, it's easy to get caught up in the cycle of resistance. Whether it's fighting against difficult situations, wishing for things to be different, or holding on to past mistakes. But what if the key to overcoming life's challenges wasn't in fighting or controlling, but in accepting the present moment exactly as it is? In The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle presents a transformative approach to life's difficulties. Letting go and embracing acceptance. This doesn't mean giving up or resigning ourselves to defeat. Rather, it's about stopping the mental struggle, releasing the grip of fear and frustration, and opening ourselves to new possibilities. True peace, Tolle suggests, comes when we accept the present moment, not with resistance, but with openness and clarity. Acceptance is the foundation of powerful action. When we stop resisting what's happening and accept the reality of our situation, we free ourselves from emotional turmoil. Only then can we find the wisdom and creativity needed to take the next step forward. This act of self-empowerment, letting go of the past and releasing the need to control the future, allows us to face life's challenges with grace and resilience. Whether it's navigating relationships, career setbacks, or personal struggles, acceptance is the gateway to real transformation. But here's the secret. Acceptance doesn't mean surrendering to hardship. It means choosing peace over pain, clarity over confusion, and growth over stagnation. When we embrace the present moment, no matter how difficult, we find that we are not just surviving life's challenges, but thriving through them. So, if you're ready to break free from the cycle of stress and resistance, start practicing acceptance today. Begin by embracing the now, letting go of the past, and allowing life to unfold without the need for control. You'll find that the peace you're seeking is already within you. The power of acceptance, unlocking the key to inner peace and growth. In a world that constantly demands more from us, it's easy to get caught up in the cycle of resistance. Whether it's fighting against difficult situations, wishing for things to be different, or holding on to past mistakes. But what if the key to overcoming life's challenges wasn't in fighting or controlling, but in accepting the present moment exactly as it is? In The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle presents a transformative approach to life's difficulties. Letting go and embracing acceptance. This doesn't mean giving up or resigning ourselves to defeat. Rather, it's about stopping the mental struggle, releasing the grip of fear and frustration, and opening ourselves to new possibilities. True peace, Tolle suggests, comes when we accept the present moment, not with resistance, but with openness and clarity. Acceptance is the foundation of powerful action. When we stop resisting what's happening and accept the reality of our situation, we free ourselves from emotional turmoil. Only then can we find the wisdom and creativity needed to take the next step forward. This act of self-empowerment, letting go of the past and releasing the need to control the future, allows us to face life's challenges with grace and resilience. Whether it's navigating relationships, career setbacks, or personal struggles, acceptance is the gateway to real transformation. But here's the secret. Acceptance doesn't mean surrendering to hardship. It means choosing peace over pain, clarity over confusion, and growth over stagnation. When we embrace the present moment, no matter how difficult, we find that we are not just surviving life's challenges, but thriving through them. So, if you're ready to break free from the cycle of stress and resistance, start practicing acceptance today. Begin by embracing the now, letting go of the past, and allowing life to unfold without the need for control. You'll find that the peace you're seeking is already within you. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay connected and discover more insights on living a more peaceful, fulfilling life. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. We've got more powerful content coming your way.